Have you ever been scrolling through social media, feeling lost and directionless, when a specific quote or article pops up that feels like it was written just for you? Or maybe you've been wrestling with a tough decision at work, and out of nowhere, a colleague mentions a solution you hadn't even considered? Perhaps you've been longing to reconnect with an old friend, and the very next day, they send you a message completely out of the blue. Skeptics might dismiss these as mere chance, random occurrences in our busy, interconnected world. But what if these moments are more than just coincidences? What if they are subtle clues, gentle nudges from something larger than ourselves? But before we dive deeper into the fascinating world of synchronicity, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. A concept first introduced by the renowned Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. Synchronicity isn't just about two things happening at the same time. It's about the meaningful alignment of seemingly unrelated events that carry a profound personal significance. So, buckle up as we explore how these mysterious coincidences can not only reveal the hidden order of the universe but also guide us on our journey to becoming a better version of ourselves in this complex modern age. Carl Jung was no ordinary thinker. Born in Switzerland in 1875, he was a psychiatrist who initially worked alongside Sigmund Freud, but they eventually parted ways over disagreements about the depths of the human psyche. Where Freud emphasized the influence of childhood experiences and the subconscious, Jung went further, proposing that all human beings share something called the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir of symbols, images, and archetypes we inherit as a species. This idea itself was radical enough to raise eyebrows in the scientific community, but Jung didn't stop there. He noticed certain coincidences popping up in his therapy sessions, strange alignments between his patients' inner worlds and the events unfolding around them, and he couldn't chalk it up to mere luck. He called it synchronicity, a term describing moments when seemingly unconnected events felt deeply tied together by meaning rather than by cause and effect logic. In simple terms, if two incidents line up in a way that strikes you as extremely relevant or symbolic, even though there's no apparent reason for them to be linked, Jung would point and say, "That's synchronicity." For example, Jung famously described a case involving a female patient who recounted a dream about a golden scarab. As she talked, an actual scarab-like insect tapped at the window, something utterly bizarre in that region. The timing was so spot-on that even the most skeptical observer might pause. Critics at the time branded Jung's ideas as borderline mystical nonsense. They argued that he was cherry-picking random coincidences, weaving them into a story that fit his philosophy. Jung, however, believed there was more to reality than straightforward cause and effect. He saw the psyche not as a closed box but as a dynamic, interactive force that could align with outside events in uncanny ways. This perspective sparked debates that still rumble today, with some scientists viewing synchronicity as unprovable superstition and others lauding it as a profound gateway into understanding the interconnected nature of existence. Far from being a relic of early 20th century psychology, Jung's work on synchronicity has trickled into modern conversations about spirituality, science, and self-help. People from all walks of life, entrepreneurs, artists, even athletes, have credited their breakthroughs to bizarre flukes that made them question if there's a higher order at work. That alone suggests Jung was onto something. Even if you remain skeptical, it's hard to deny that these coincidences can have a massive impact on how we perceive our daily lives. Imagine you plan your life to the minute. You plot out your career path, invest carefully, and line up every detail for a perfect future. Then life throws a curveball. Maybe you miss a flight that you absolutely needed to catch. Frustrated and exhausted, you find yourself stuck at an airport bar, striking up a conversation with a stranger who turns out to be a future business partner or a close friend. You wonder, was this really random, or was the universe orchestrating something? Skeptics often argue that attributing meaning to coincidence is just our pattern-seeking brains at work. Humans are wired to find significance in random data, they say. Plenty of people get gut feelings, see repeating numbers, or bump into old friends at just the right time, simply because there are billions of daily events happening. Statistically, improbable alignments are bound to occur. According to this viewpoint, labeling them as meaningful is only a reflection of our human desire for order and reassurance. Believers in synchronicity counter that sometimes events line up so perfectly, or carry such emotional weight, that calling them random chance feels incomplete. They point out that we don't blink at gravity, a force we accept but can't see. So why not consider an underlying principle that connects thoughts, feelings, and external events. After all, quantum physics has shown us that the universe is bizarre on a subatomic level. Particles can be entangled across vast distances, affecting each other instantaneously. If that's possible, what else might be at play in the cosmos? Modern science hasn't fully embraced Jung's theory. There's simply no way to measure meaning in a double-blind lab experiment. Yet, pockets of research in fields like parapsychology, transpersonal psychology, and even emerging areas of neuroscience explore the power of shared consciousness and connectedness. Although mainstream science remains cautious, these explorations indicate that perhaps synchronicity scratches the surface of a much larger phenomenon that we don't have the tools to quantify, at least, not yet. Meanwhile, popular culture is rife with stories about events that seem too choreographed to be happenstance. People talk about destiny or fate, whether it's meeting the love of their life by getting on the wrong train or discovering a life-changing business idea by glancing at a random social media post. At the end of the day, whether you label it chance or design often depends on how you choose to interpret life's coincidences. What matters is the impact these moments have on you. Sometimes, even the skeptics admit they feel a spark of awe, as though there's a bigger tapestry unfolding before their eyes. The universe, if Jung was correct, doesn't always broadcast its messages on a giant billboard. Often, it's the subtle hints that carry the most weight. A song lyric that resonates so deeply it sends shivers down your spine, a dream that outlines a future scenario before it happens, or a passerby who inadvertently gives you advice at the exact moment you need it. These tiny serendipitous events can feel like cosmic breadcrumbs, guiding you along a path you didn't even know you were on. One way to become more attuned to synchronicity is by cultivating awareness. In the hustle of modern life, emails, deadlines, endless scrolling, we often tune out anything that doesn't fit our immediate agenda. But if you slow down, pay attention, and maybe even keep a small journal of odd coincidences, patterns can begin to emerge. After a few weeks of taking note, you might notice how certain numbers, words, or themes recur around major decisions. Or you may realize that every time you feel stuck, a chance encounter or random piece of media arrives to jolt you forward. Humor plays a role, too. Sometimes, life's synchronicities have a playful edge. Think about the times you've lamented losing your job, only to discover days later an opportunity you would never have pursued otherwise, one that turns out even better. In those moments, it's as if reality itself is winking at you, gently or not so gently, pushing you to reconsider your path. This can be especially apparent when negative events reroute you in astonishing ways. A breakup that devastates you could free up emotional space for genuine self-love, or a rejected application might spark the confidence to start your own venture. The more you look for these quiet transformations, the more you may see synchronicity as a creative force that both dismantles and rebuilds your life in the strangest, most wonderful ways. In the swirl of modern technology, you might even find synchronicity in the algorithms that suggest articles or videos you had no intention of seeking out. Sure, an algorithm is not the universe, but who's to say it can't be part of the tapestry if the timing and message hit home? Once you realize that signs can come from any corner, including the digital world, you start to see the magic in everyday life. And if magic is too whimsical a term, call it a hyper-awareness that invites you to see connections you used to overlook. Either way, it's the same result, a richer, more engaging experience of the world around you. If synchronicity is the language that binds these coincidences, archetypes might be the alphabet. Jung believed these ancient symbols exist within the collective unconscious, shared by everyone regardless of culture or background. Examples include the hero, the mentor, the trickster, or the shadow. They show up in folklore, religions, epic sagas, and even today's blockbuster movies, guiding characters through universal story arcs that resonate across time. Yet archetypes don't just appear in movies or myths. They also sneak into our dreams and daily experiences. Think of a moment in your life when everything felt like a real-life hero's journey. You faced a massive challenge, felt you couldn't do it, then encountered just the right advice or encouragement to get through. Perhaps you found a wise mentor in a teacher, a parent, or even a stranger's words online. The synergy of these moments can often manifest as synchronicities, where the external world seems to reflect the internal story you're living. Sometimes, archetypal experiences arrive in the form of repeated symbols, Like constantly seeing images of owls when you're searching for wisdom or noticing serpents everywhere when you're shedding old habits and stepping into a new identity. These images can pop up in your social media feed, on t-shirts people wear around you, or even in random graffiti on a city wall. It might seem silly at first, but every so often, these symbolic patterns stir something in you, nudging you to pay attention to what's happening beneath the surface. It's important not to become obsessed with labeling every flicker of coincidence as a sign. If you start seeing hidden messages in every piece of toast, you'll lose the bigger picture. Instead, think of archetypes and synchronicity as clues that guide you toward deeper self-awareness. By recognizing these ancient storylines playing out in your personal life, you can better navigate challenges, spot when you're repeating unhelpful patterns, and consciously step into the roles that serve your highest potential. In that way, archetypes become more than abstract symbols. They become living forces that shape your actions and attitudes, offering a hidden blueprint for how your life might unfold. Synchronicity isn't just a neat trick to share at parties. It can be a powerful catalyst for personal growth. In many cases, people report these meaningful coincidences most frequently during transitional phases. Leaving a job, ending a relationship, or dealing with a crisis of faith. That's when the psyche is ripe for expansion. And in Jung's view, it's as though the outer world starts mirroring that internal shift. You might repeatedly encounter the same type of person who challenges your worldview, or you run into references to a specific place or idea wherever you turn. It feels tailor-made to push you to the next level of your life. When you're moving through emotional turmoil, synchronicities can arrive as guiding stars, confirming a choice or gently prodding you to consider a new path. Maybe every time you doubt your decision to go back to school, you see an encouraging quote about lifelong learning. Or you meet someone who shares how returning to education transformed their life. These seemingly random events can provide the extra jolt of confidence needed to keep going. In essence, they serve as cosmic signposts that read, "You're on the right track, don't stop." But synchronicity doesn't always whisper. Sometimes it shouts. You could be trudging along in a job that drains your soul until an accidental sequence of events forces you to reconsider your priorities altogether. Maybe a competitor company approaches you out of nowhere, or you stumble on a side project that lights a fire of excitement you forgot you even had. Often, these scenarios demand letting go of comfort zones, which can feel terrifying. Yet, it's in that discomfort that real growth happens. Embracing these cosmic nudges requires an open mind and a willingness to follow your inner compass, even when you can't see the entire journey ahead. Each synchronicity can be viewed as a small invitation to trust life's bigger currents, to release the need for rigid control, and to engage with a world that might be more alive and interactive than you ever imagined. In a modern era where we crave certainty and immediate results, learning to read these subtle clues can lead to breakthroughs in creativity, relationships, and overall well-being. No conversation about synchronicity is complete without addressing the criticism. Many scientists view Jung's theory with skepticism because it isn't testable through conventional means. If two events line up meaningfully for person A, that doesn't guarantee they'll be equally meaningful for person B. There's an inherent subjectivity here. Psychologists who lean towards strict empiricism might say people are simply engaging in confirmation bias, noticing hits that confirm their beliefs and ignoring the countless times coincidences don't happen. Furthermore, opponents argue that we're living in a digital age that makes it easier than ever to create illusions of synchronicity. Think about targeted ads. You talk about needing new shoes, and suddenly, your phone shows you endless footwear promotions. Is that synchronicity, or just advanced technology eavesdropping on your life? Critics also note that the more you believe in synchronicity, the more you'll see it. Similar to how you start noticing a certain car model everywhere after buying one. The question remains whether these phenomena hold any deeper truth or are just quirks of human perception. Despite the doubts, synchronicity continues to flourish in spiritual communities, self-development workshops, and alternative therapy practices. There's a reason people flock to these ideas. When life feels chaotic or meaningless, the notion of a hidden pattern can offer solace and inspiration. Programs focused on manifestation and the law of attraction sometimes borrow language reminiscent of Jung's, suggesting that our inner beliefs can shape external events in profound ways. While not strictly the same as synchronicity, these modern interpretations show that Jung's legacy is alive and well, just framed in a variety of New Age or motivational contexts. Even in the realm of mainstream psychology, certain researchers explore phenomena like flow states, intuition, and peak experiences, acknowledging that subjective experience can't be fully measured in a laboratory. Although they don't always label these events synchronicity, the underlying curiosity is there. What if human consciousness and external reality are more intertwined than we've assumed? The debate won't be resolved anytime soon, but in the meantime, stories of uncanny coincidences keep piling up, inviting us to stay open-minded about what might be possible. To really appreciate how synchronicity can transform people's lives, it helps to look at stories from individuals who've experienced it firsthand. There are tales of authors who wrote best-selling books because they happened to meet someone who introduced them to a crucial publisher at just the right moment. Musicians describe stumbling upon mentors or bandmates under the strangest of circumstances, like missing the last train and ending up chatting with someone carrying a guitar case. These chance meetings often spark creative partnerships that shape entire careers. Everyday individuals, too, share stories of how they faced heartbreak, lost a job, or encountered a major health scare, only to be guided towards something unexpectedly life-affirming. A woman might decide to leave an unfulfilling relationship and then, on a random weekend trip, cross paths with a group of people discussing personal growth. Inspired, she invests in workshops, therapy, or a personal coaching program. Over the course of a year, her entire trajectory shifts. Was it pure coincidence that her new acquaintances were exploring exactly what she needed to hear, at exactly the time she was vulnerable enough to hear it? Some lessons stand out repeatedly in these anecdotes. First, synchronicity often requires us to be receptive. If you're closed off, brushing everything aside as nonsense, you might miss the cues. Second, action matters. Even if you notice a sign, you have to actually do something with it. Pick up that book, call that contact, follow up on that job lead. Third, it helps to keep a light spirit about it all. Take coincidences seriously enough to consider their significance, but not so seriously that you see hidden messages in every raindrop. Most importantly, these stories underscore that synchronicities can change the way we see ourselves. They serve as reminders that life can be bigger, more mysterious, and more interconnected than our daily routines suggest. Whether you're searching for spiritual guidance, career direction, or self-improvement, a single well-timed coincidence can open doors you never knew existed. In that sense, synchronicity isn't just about observing the world around you. It's also about discovering untapped corners of your own psyche, stepping into roles and opportunities that feel almost like they were waiting for you to show up. In an age dominated by technology, rapid communication, and an ever-present sense of urgency, it might seem odd to dwell on something as intangible as synchronicity. Yet these meaningful coincidences can be especially potent now, when so many of us crave authenticity and purpose. Modern life often leaves people feeling disconnected, from nature, from community, even from themselves. Synchronicity can act like a small but vital bridge, reminding us that there might be a silent thread weaving through our actions and relationships. Recognizing synchronicities can also help you become a better version of yourself. When you pay attention to these cosmic nudges, you start noticing the areas of life that need realignment. Maybe repeated themes of self-care keep popping up, nudging you to finally address burnout. Or you keep seeing references to courage right when you're considering a big leap of faith, suggesting that perhaps it's time to act. By heeding these signs, you lean into growth, stepping out of stagnation and into possibility. Moreover, synchronicity can foster a sense of hope and wonder. In a fast-paced world that often feels indifferent, these uncanny coincidences remind us that life might not be as random as it appears. That spark of magic or meaning can fuel you through challenges and renew your optimism. For instance, if you receive a strangely timed message of encouragement when you're at rock bottom, it can be enough to shift your outlook, helping you push forward instead of giving up. This doesn't mean you rely exclusively on external signs, but they can certainly complement your own determination and focus. Adopting a synchronicity mindset also encourages openness to new experiences. When you accept that opportunities might come from unexpected places, you become more willing to have impromptu conversations, explore different paths, or take creative risks. Over time, this openness helps you cultivate empathy, curiosity, and resilience, traits that make you not only more adaptable in a changing world but also more compassionate toward yourself and others. So, does everything truly happen for a reason? Or are we just connecting the dots in a grand illusion? Maybe it's a bit of both. Synchronicity invites you to see that life's random events might not be random at all, but threads in a tapestry far more intricate than we can usually perceive. Whether you're convinced there's a guiding hand behind the scenes or you prefer a more grounded explanation, the real power of synchronicity lies in its ability to shift your perspective, to stir up awe, curiosity, and a sense of belonging within a universe that can often feel chaotic. The next time you catch yourself in the middle of an uncanny coincidence, pause and reflect. What if that random moment holds a lesson tailored specifically for you? What if it's nudging you to let go of outdated habits, explore new passions, or see life in a more adventurous light? By choosing to engage with these coincidences, journaling them, discussing them, or simply letting them influence your decisions, you might uncover aspects of yourself you never knew existed. Ultimately, synchronicity doesn't replace hard work, self-reflection, or the courage to face life's uncertainties. But it can be a potent ally, a whisper of encouragement that says you're not stumbling alone through a meaningless maze. In a world that often demands logical explanations and linear thinking, synchronicity reminds us that sometimes the most profound insights come wrapped in mystery. Let this be your invitation to stay open, stay curious, and lean into the possibility that there's a hidden current guiding us all, one small coincidence at a time.